One man is lost in the fog. His friend brings a torch in the night. They walk arm in arm through the dark, guided by one man's sight. One man's sight. Some cannot walk, some cannot see, some cannot speak, some cannot hear, some cannot learn, some cannot think, but all can love, and all can feel, and all can care, and all can change, and all can learn, and all can grow. We are equal in the same. We are equal in the same. We are equal in the same. Two men were working the land, two farmers making their trade. And while one was blind, he was still the mind behind the world's best lemonade, his lemonade. Some cannot walk, some cannot see, some cannot speak, some cannot hear, some cannot learn, some cannot think, but all can love, and all can feel, and all can care, and all can change, and all can learn, and all can grow. We are equal in the same. We are equal in the same. We are equal in the same.
Hey, buddy. How are you? Want to take a shower?
Not take a shower.
Go ahead, my man. You're live, buddy.
Hey, my friend. How are you? Well, welcome everyone to Equal and the Same. Today was a great day for the rally of knowledge, I guess, and I had a good time. And thank you very much, Tiffany, and the special speakers. But we see it's a nationwide problem that parents' rights are being attacked in every aspect. And as me, as a parent of a child of a disabled child who is now an adult, I'm still fighting to this age at age 21 because I'm dealing with the Department of Developmental Services. Will be for life. There's no way to get away from the state actors and state players. I don't know where we can start tonight, but I definitely would like to see what everyone's thought was about today's Tiffany's presentation. If we got anyone with us.
Yeah, that was a good day today. That was a real good day.
I really think it was. It was very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Henry, what is the number one thing that you need, that people need to know about the American with disabilities and what's going on as far as child protective services and those things? Like, where's the biggest crux or the biggest problem?
Oh, the biggest problem is the lack of administrative duties. You will not get a procedural safeguard that complies with your rights. You will not get a transitioning plan that complies with your rights. If they're not identifying, what your disability is and how to overcome it to make it so you're an intact unit. Because as we heard the gentleman speak today, that, the days of them attacking the blind or the deaf and saying, you're incapable of caring for a baby because you don't have hands. Well, there's adaptive equipment out there, and unless one, we understand what the diagnosis that they're giving you or your child, because again, association rights is a big thing that everyone's overlooking. That with association rights to the disabled, if I was with Darren and I'm a quadriplegic, we pull up to the grocery store. Would he get out of the car and knock on the grocery store and say, "Is it okay if I park with my friend Henry?" So basically, when the disabled are with you, or if you're disabled, you give them the affirmative strength of the American Disabilities Act. Title 42, you'll find it underneath. For the ones that are not familiar, you can go to ada.gov. It's a very comprehensive technical guidance that DOJ has developed over the last 35 years that goes with their funding that they give to state programs, services, and activities. DCF clearly falls within the activity mark. What we've figured out is that they're all funded through, like most programs of the courts, are funded through the Social Security Act. So it ties into also the 504 a little bit too. And
wait, whoa, let's go back. Social Security Act. What is the Social Security Act, and how does it affect the go elaborate on that, how the Social Security Act
exactly how. I mean, I believe it's underneath their Title IV funding, and then obviously CMS, Centers of Medicaid and Medicare Services, because I think once they become in state custody, they're automatically put over to a Medicaid program to get their treatments and get the payoffs that the state actors and the state players want for their social workers, for their psychologists, or anyone else that they want to throw at you.
So it's a big
cash
cow.
What is it?
It's a huge cash cow for them.
Oh, huge. And again, with Nathan in the Department of Developmental Services, that billing could be up to $300,000 a year of a person being in custody. And then they can go for what they call Katie Beckett waivers. There's home and community grants. You'd have to see whatever state you're in, what they're running off of. And it shouldn't be that hard, because if you go to CMS's website, you can read some of the grants. And again, my firm belief is same as the Indian Welfare Act, equal and the same. They have to provide the services, programs, and activities for you that is most appropriate if you're dealing with a case where somebody's disabled. And again, guys, I can't stress this enough. Once they perceive you as being disabled, I don't care what the subject is, because we got to get off the subject of telling our personal stories. Make it quick, make it light. I'd rather hear how they've discriminated and said to you, you're not worthy of XYZ modification because it's not going to impact you in an appropriate way to make a difference of your pairing. Where I'd say refute it. One person today wrote in there that they're on Zoom. Well, why ain't you refuting that? This is a discrimination because a child is underdeveloped. So technically they do have a disability. Development of a person doesn't end until age 26. I believe in my son's case, it's going to be for the rest of his life, because as he's aged, and I've noticed it with other disabled gentlemen that are autistic and have developmental disabilities, that their body, and again, we swim with like an older gentleman at a club in Manchester, the only club in the country where high school kids, if they swim with my guy for 45 minutes for 4 years, and it's not every weekend, it's a certain time. We go with the school calendar. We don't start until October, but the organization believes to give them a donation of $250 to spend as they choose in college. Let it be books, food. We don't care. You've given us more than what anyone else can, and it's a cheap cost. So swimming with Nathan is not only getting Nathan to interact and see appropriate behaviors of typical kids, peer related activities, but it's also giving the person on the other hand the opportunity to see that these guys are no threat to them. And again, this is why I'm saying to everyone, I really would love them to stress, when you're thinking of what your transitioning program is going to be, you're thinking of, when I say transitioning, because after they took the child away, some people call it a reunification. I'm just using the fancy word transitioning that you find in the IEDA laws. That's educational laws that if you don't understand,
Is that like the backbone of what you need to know? Is the IEDA laws like the backbone of the laws that you should understand for
if you
disability?
got a child with special needs, I would definitely recommend that. And I don't care if it's developmental needs, physical needs, emotional needs, because again, the ADA protects all the above. And again, we've talked on your show too, where before, where if somebody has an alcoholism problem or drug dependency, that's a taboo. They cannot go after you because you are past. It's what I'm doing today, what I'm doing now, that you have to say, okay, I've done all the hurdles you've asked me to jump over. I'm still clean and serene. You can't break me. Why am I not getting a transitioning plan to reintroduce me to my child as a clean person? Why are you denying me my civil rights under the American Disabilities Act? I'd be asking, who's your administrative duty persons? I would like to see policies and procedures in place, because technically, the only way they can come up with the ideas of what are appropriate modifications, not accommodations. If you fall into that trap of accommodations, which they're going to try to cram down your throat over and over and over and over, that's a Title I application. You are not an employee. And this is the great part of it, guys, because as we all know, we all met state actors and state players. I believe some of them have disabilities themselves. What happens when you get two disabled people in the same room? And I don't care if it's just pig headed over, one's got to be correct all the time. Let's just say that theory. Somebody is, I don't want to use the word narcissist because it's inappropriate, but just the easiest way to explain is button heads, over the same, we'll say, trying to come up with a end goal for care or guidance on education or appropriate sleep habits. In my case, Nathan's got food allergies. So again, nobody would believe me that there's such thing as a gluten tolerance when I went through this court. And again, it's just I got nailed for chelation. Nobody believed me that the kid was double MMR shot. Well, I put out the data. I found peer review articles that supported my position. And again, that's the key thing when we're fighting ourselves, that you have to put not your word, not your belief, because we're nothing. Unless a PhD or an MD puts a stamp on it, we are nothing. I don't care. It does not make a sense. But yet, when I go to the doctors with Nathan, what's the first thing they ask you as the parent? Well, what's the symptoms? What's been going on? How is it relating? And you correlate everything to your doctor. And then your doctor develops a plan, let's call it the transitioning plan. And then he comes back at you and says, do X, Y, Z. And if it doesn't work, you call me in 2 weeks. Well, as a parent, you got to be flexible in that matter. And I believe you do no harm first, meaning vitamin supplements, good food. It just really, routine of bedtime. That's a huge thing in Nathan's world. Routine. If I was to tell Nathan today that we're going swimming, then come tomorrow, it's a lightning storm, forget it. It's nearly impossible to break him out of that routine because he's got it implanted in his head that he's going swimming. So again, when we look at younger kids, he's no different than a younger child. It's some of the things you say around your children. And again, what was so wrong that I said around my child that makes me lose custody of my child? And, I only say to you, I was very dead scared of DCF when I got involved, and I shut them down. I used medical data, and again, they sent somebody out there who was effectively trained, and they said, Henry, we know this diet. We know who Dan's doctors are. It was Defeat Autism Now. That was back in the 2004s, and the government, of course, shut them down because, no, autism is not an environmental toxin. It's not an environmental problem. It's a genetic problem. But yet, if you look at all the studies they've done, they've only come up with 2% of the population 3%, maybe. It doesn't explain why kids are dropping out at 2.5, 3. Are they getting extra lead in their school systems? Are they getting lead from your house? This is where I would be like, okay, American Pediatrics in 2006 made the tolerance 0, right? So why are you looking at whole blood? Why aren't you looking at the molecular level? That's customized treatment. And it was a place called Great Plains Laboratories that we used to look at the molecular level. And yes, it's expensive. This is what I'm saying to you. If you want to play with the lawyer game, you want to fight and piss over, well, you took away my child and it was unnecessary and you did this to me, you did that to me, versus, wait a minute, who was even smart enough to say it was abuse? What was the abuse? Was it truly harm? How is it harm? And then you're coming up with a diagnosis against me that my main treating doctor can't even come up with. Because obviously I was smart. I went and to my own private psychologist, took an exam, paid the $1,500. Even with Nathan on educational needs, I wasn't in full custody, but my parental rights were there. My parental rights were there absolutely, because they were not terminated. The school had to effectively now start training me to care for him. Again, this is what we're saying today. All your kids are getting ready to go into to school this fall, or depending on where your country, maybe in the middle of August. But that would be the letters I'd be writing today. Who's done the educational evaluation? Has there not been harm? Well, this report here says that kids that get moved into DCF custody are emotionally disturbed. You've claimed it in this case. You know what I mean? So again, what are you doing to ensure that his transitioning out of my care, temporary, into your care is appropriate? Use the facts and the science. And if they tell you to pound sand, that's where you're going to want to go into my next argument, which is, again, proving the whole administrative duties. So if you got that brief I sent you, it was filed a complaint to our local legislative office. And I picked this one as pot because, again, I'm listening to years of people crying that their babies are having seizures, brain seizures. And again, anytime your kid's eyes roll to the right and hook up to the corner, that's a mini brain seizure. And again, we're not talking about the full-blown ones that this person was experiencing where you're choking on your own tongue. But if this woman had to flee Connecticut and go to Maine to get CBD oils to cure her child's epileptic problems. And again, it just doesn't make sense. How is that a bad parent? If the state of Connecticut ain't smart enough to do what's no harm, then how is it illegal? And obviously we got now a investigation of a sitting senator that when this whole drug war thing was changed from, medical to medical cannabis, then to recreational, it was big money. Now I just got an email the other day on Friday saying that he's being investigated. Doug McCorry, of course they're being investigated. They cared less about anybody that's in possible needs of using marijuana. And again, we had somebody on the show that said that they got in trouble over having a medical card. Well, where? How? You're going against my MD doctor? And again, I don't know what state it is, but I'm just going to use the state of Connecticut. How are you going against an MD doctor that your consumer protections listed as a possible cure, or relief? Wrong word. Sorry, guys. There is no cure. In the medical society, there isn't, in my opinion, no cure. We learned that with COVID. If there was a cure, the disease would be completely eradicated. Then the insurance companies can't make money anymore, and doctors can't make money anymore. Big pharma can't make money anymore. So my feeling is again, you try to take a holistic approach before going to something like Ritalin or heavier, narcotics to control some of these behaviors. Again, what about yoga? I mean, if your kid's stressed, are they giving your kid yoga class? I know that's part of Nathan's IEP. He was able to get yoga time. He didn't like it, but whatever. I still shot for it. So it's about ideas and interacting with these idiots in an appropriate way, but it defends you underneath the ADA because underneath policies and procedures, there's a person called the designated responsible employee of the administration. Um, Again, in that area, it's 28 CFR 35.107, and you'd be questioning whether or not you want to file a complaint of the program, service, or activity that you're engaged, even down to the individual. And again, when you make the complaint, it's one, if they're compliant, then they should be giving you a list of appropriate modifications for that disability to achieve success in that program, service, or activity.
Henry, what if, and this is Alicia's question here, what if they try to say that you do have a disability and you don't?
Oh, now it's going to be one of those pissing contests. You're going to have to get a doctor on your end, and that's what I'm saying to you is mainstream medicine has to now get involved, and that's where I would, under the ADA, file a complaint. If my mainstream treating doctor doesn't recognize this made-up disability, this is discrimination. You're falsely perceiving me as somebody disabled. You can't give me the appropriate program, services, and activities to ensure the intact family of a disabled family. Because now, like the Indian Welfare Act, can the government come along and just take a child from the Indians? No, that child has to be adopted out to another Indian family. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
So
That's
think
what's
of
supposed
it
to
in
happen.
those terms when I'm talking to you on that. Is like, again, I don't know what their disability is, but again, if they're perceiving it, your mainstream treating doctor has been no recognition in the history of your life. Please refute it. And at that, you're supposed to then have a qualified person. Who is that person? Did they go through effective training of the American Disabilities Act like it's been mandated? Title II, Title III? Have they have any treatment success in whatever the diagnosis that they've given? Because they just can't. I just can't sit here as a PhD or an MD and just say, "Ah, you're nuts. Yeah, you're bitchy. I don't like you. Get away from me." You get my point? They have to be factual, proven diseases that are treatable, and if they're not treatable, then that condition is pretty much been already recognized. And again, what are they going to next say? Your Munchausen disease, which I don't know if everyone knows what that is, but that's basically when they're saying you're making your child sick. So there is a problem. Remember that was again something, the tactics that they used in the 60s and 70s against women to get their kids and put them in an institution. They put the
Hey,
woman in the institution.
hey, Henry, we got a couple guests that are
By
going to come join you.
Munchausen, I believe it's called proxy by Munchausen.
Mm-hmm. We have a
And
couple guests that are going to come join you, Henry.
yeah, have them come in.
All right.
But I just want to show everybody a typical complaint, because once you see this complaint, there's going to be so much information in here, and it reaffirms everything I'm saying. Hi.
Henry, this is
Hey,
Alicia.
Hi,
sorry, I didn't know
Alicia.
I was on yet.
It's all right.
Sorry.
Keep smoking. I'm jealous.
I had to come outside because the kids anyway, so.
Right. But again, here's a good example too. If they sit there and they say that, oh, you got a parent that's smoking around the children, they're smoking in front of my children, prove it. Come on, the history of this country, we had wood stoves in the house. We had freaking grandparents smoking on their pipes, and this whole thing about emissions from a cigarette. Well, I can pull down data about diesel buses. When you have kids on diesel buses, it's a known fact that there is known IQ deficiency. People who live in an inner city, I think it's a 2% IQ deficiency. Start going off the deep end. When I say think outside of the box, and I don't care because the ADA says, well, if it's applying here, I can use it here because you're both Title II entities or Title III, which would be the subcontractors.
So with my case, when you talk about pot, I absolutely love it because that's what they used against me. So I've had my medical marijuana card in every state that has offered it that I've lived in for the past 6 years. Whether I actively use it or not, I still keep it up to date because when CPS used my card against me, it was over. I was pregnant while I was using it. every other prescription that me and my doctor had talked about, he was not comfortable with me giving for my disability. I have a
That's
chronic
the writing.
illness.
That's the writing I would be given. I would be given your MD doctor's testimony that he's tried everything. He's found that cannabis is a good relief. He used the word cannabis. But what my problem is like I know for a fact in Connecticut, they track how much you were taking out of the dispensary.
Yeah, so with my cards, my limit was 82 grams, or I think it's 21 units, which equated to like
So
82
is
grams
that
or
what you're
something
saying
for
that
the
you're
month.
you
They're saying that because I used it during my pregnancy, even though my doctor said anything else he gave me would have been more harmful to my daughter, that I was putting her in imminent danger by using it while I was pregnant.
all right? We know the data. We know the data, but again, because of your body condition, again, we know that it ain't smart to be using drugs and alcohol and even smoking with
Hmm.
your kid. We know that for a fact. Less is best in the world. But I believe because there could be an argument made because your body is not equal to everyone else's body. Your body was doing something that the only relief you were getting was through the plant. And again, was it cannabinoids? Was it, certain compounds in the plant that is helping you? So I think your better bet is to actually find out if anyone's done any, fetal testing on cannabis use and on a baby. What is the problem? Does it compare to like a meth baby or
So my daughter came out perfectly healthy,
yeah,
no weight issue. There was literally
right,
no issue with her.
right,
She
right.
was the
But,
healthiest of all of my children.
but
Healthiest pregnancy, all of it.
see, but they don't want to hear you're saying them numbers. They want to see a clinical report saying that there is nothing because they haven't shown you a clinical report that there is a known fact. So until they show you medical evidence, which again, I think it's a controversy right now. I believe it's a controversy. So who can bring a subject like me, MMR shot for the longest time? I swear it was the MMR shot that took out Nathan. He got it 2 months apart with the vaccine of the flu shot, which has thermosol in it. And if it doesn't have thermosol, it has aluminum. And now the new testing is in studies are showing that aluminum can cross the blood-brain barrier and again negatively affect they think as bad or if not worse than lead. What do we do?
See, and I do think that
I,
they
I
just
think
don't have
that's
enough studies to prove benefit
that then
or the
how can the
harm.
state use something that's in a controversy? Complaint. I complained to the designated responsible employee. These employees here, they're not even skilled in one that diagnose. Two, they're not even skilled in understanding the research. That again, because this peer review article shows that there could be benefits or could not be benefits. If I have a cannabinoid disability, and we heard him say earlier today, the gentleman, right? If I have a cannabinoid, wouldn't most likely I'm going to pass that on to my child.
Mm-hmm.
So show me if I'm in need, why wouldn't my child be in need? Whether it be a fetus or developed. I
See,
mean,
and
it kind of makes
I have
sense
a
to me.
son who
It
he is on
kind of makes sense to me
CBD.
because I am not a medical doctor. But again, if you got somebody who's I don't want to say genetically known or fragile edge or Down syndrome, if you got a Down's parent and they're most likely going to pass on those heretic genes. So why is that happening? But it can't happen here. That you got to get into the controversy world. You have to. And what I would be chasing after is like in Connecticut. I know there's a lot of advocacy groups. Her name is Christina Eve. She's I want to say, but that's where I would reach to parent advocacy groups in like Colorado, California. These states were even like, isn't Oregon using now mushrooms?
I know that Florida is microdosing mushrooms.
I thought it was underneath one state was allowed to do it. I know Massachusetts has been trying to do it for 2 years. They've been trying. And I personally, as a person, would rather see somebody as a microdose on mushrooms or something that's organically made by God versus big pharma, because I'm pretty much tired of everything Pfizer's does. Everything they do has a side effect. I'm not saying peyotes and whatever else, mushrooms, it doesn't have a side. Of course, driving a car has a side effect if you go too fast. Everything, you eat 10 pounds of chocolate or 10 pounds of ice cream, you're going to have a side effect. So everything is again in small quantities. And same with vitamins. You can get vitamin toxicity if you take too much vitamins. You can get too much, certain types of levels that are not beneficial to your body no more. But again, that's what I would personally, I'd be personally calling out the qualifications. Who's relying on what data, what study? Again, if not, and again, I still haven't connected, you being on cannabis to abuse, true harm, because that's the standard. It ain't because you don't want let your daughter or son wear different color pants or pink dresses. It ain't the harm standard.
Henry, her body, like she was just saying, she needs this. Like it's not her body requires
and
it.
She's got an MD doctor that's willing to say she does. But now you're going to go for peer review articles that support not only your position but supports the doctor's position. And that's why I'm saying to you, I would be calling up. Again, Colorado's been legal for 25 years. California, this is not the first MO. I've heard plenty of parents, and I know for myself that once I got the medical license, our license plates got tagged right to the police departments. So I'm driving around saying, "Hey, he's a dope user." You don't think the cops were pissed when it first came through? They were pulling everybody over and checking for sobriety. And again, the reason why I used the weight amount, because somebody in Connecticut was attacked. The idiot was pulling the 4 ounces a month out of the pharmacy, and he was peddling it on the corner. What can you do? You know what I mean? Everybody's got to eat. I got it. Were you taking that? Because I don't see how. I only smoke less than probably a quarter a month. You know what I mean? I don't get it. I just don't. But again,
if they were to look through, so that was with my oldest daughter that CPS came in, used my medical card against me, took my daughter away. So my pregnancies after that, because I got too scared to continue my medical use. Like, I kept my medical card up to date, but I was too scared to use my medical card.
That's part of the harm. That's part of the discrimination.
I was going to, I don't know what they call it. I can't remember what they're called, but clinics to get the nutrients I needed pumped directly into me, because my body just can't, without it, it doesn't process the vitamins and the nutrients that I need in my body.
Right. And again, that's where, again, you're going to have to show the medical data that not everybody's the same. And again, but the whole thing would be, you got an immediate complaint to file. Again, why am I being perceived as a problem? I have an MD doctor in my state that signed this. We've done XYZ. We have found and came to this conclusion based on XYZ. You know what I mean? He has to have some things to tell you on why he decided to go that route instead of just giving you Prozac like everybody else gets. Right? We know Prozac's got 16 pages of side effects. What's the side effects for you?
I don't have to go.
Well, I don't have any side effects. They've been taken away. They've been taken away, and my doctor's willing to testify it to this. So again, this is where you got to file that complaint. You have to file the complaint with them. Who is your designated? And again, Darren, please, if you could find that one LOB complaint, because it's going to answer everything. And again, I don't care what you are. I don't care what your disability is. They have to. If they're saying your disability is not making you to be a good parent, how much more discrimination do you want than that? That's why you should be equal and the same as everybody else. What? Oh, how's this? You're the only girl on this show with 2 males right now. Are you not equal and the same as us? I think you are.
I'd like to think I am.
I think you are. In today's society, you are. But again, 1960, somebody would have sat there and said bullshit. Especially if you were married to a rich guy, his family would have had you put institutionalized. They would have called you batshit crazy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because you're telling them that you got ailments that no doctor can find. Well, if the doctor of main medicine cannot find it because they're looking at whole blood, you have to go to the micro level and start looking at the cellular level, what's going on in your body. And again, you could show, like, I wish I had an ion profile, but it's buried in thousands of pages over there in the corner. This is just my desk now. I don't know. I got probably a couple thousand papers just sitting on my desk now between 3 desks. My organized chaos. And yes, you're going to have to dig in and start fighting, sweetheart. I can't tell you anymore, but I'm giving you the legal fight. I don't care about a budsman. A budsman has no authority to remedy. Remedy means correct the problem, not only for you, but auto-corrects the system so that another parent like you is not taxed for having a medical card. And again, Christina Eve would be who I would recommend, and that was Darren. Maybe we can get her on the show sometime and get her to talk specifically about this. But she's Connecticut's foremost expert on cannabis and parents' rights. She's a son of a bitch. The lawmakers do not like her because she slams them.
Where can I find her at?
Facebook. I'm going to it right now. Christina Eve Fry. So CHRISTINA, capital EV, and then in parentheses it says Fry, FYRE. I don't know what that means. The is that her maiden name, but she's part of the Connecticut Canna Warriors. She's part of the Cannabis Advocacy and Nathan's Mama. Works as an activist. She actually worked in the pharmacy that I was actually at, just to let you know. So she is a co-founder of Cannabis Patients Resource Center of Connecticut. That'd be another good name for you to look up on Facebook.
Oh shoot, let me go write that one down too.
But again, that I'm begging you guys, and you heard me ask that parent guy earlier today. Well, I worked with them, and I'm not putting the society down. When I was going through them, I told Darren the story. Yeah, they had a lot of great information. They had a lot of great case law. And what my problem was, they couldn't hook me up with an attorney, or would not, let's just say, go on the borderline of being an attorney for us. And, I realized, too, that they were fighting a machine that wants to keep going and making money off of the system by creating these problems. So again, I just don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. But one good thing he did say, that there is, attorneys that they've now networked with. But I'm telling you, even Christine, she knows this guy. He's an attorney that really hits it big time in Connecticut for the pot industry. If you're being charged with anything illegal, his name slips my hand right now, but when I think of it, I'll send it out to Darren or whatever. But it will come to me. And again, guy's a real nice guy. If you look at how we passed the bills, he was up there fighting for us. And again, I really look at somebody, and again, just don't take her word, guys. Actually, I got a phone number here too. Do you want the phone number?
Yes, please.
860-578-8420. I put my cursor over the Cannabis Patients Resource Center of Connecticut. And again, she knows me by face. I send her a few emails, just again, you're a parent from another state, cannabis is not recognized. I've lost my, parental rights over this. It's not right. They're targeting me because I need to use cannabis as a medicine to treat. And again, whatever your disorders are, I would be looking at too, because the guy just can't say, well, I feel. He's got to claim it to a disorder. And again, that's at least how it works in our state. But I would be looking at other states, what type of disorders they got. Let's just say, for the longest time, I think glaucoma was the first one recognized in Connecticut. Right? We all know that one. But as it expands, it has now expanded to even post-traumatic stress. Why? There had to be enough data given to that board for them to change their mind. Enough peer review articles to change their mind and add it to the list of approved people for medical use in Connecticut. But that's where I would really start with is getting your foundation down, and taking apart what they done to you because, well, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good. Surprise, hey. I'm Danielle.
Hey, I was in my emails. I was looking in my emails. And I was going to come back, and you're no longer Darren. You're Gunner's wife.
No, I'm not Sharon's Gunner's wife, but I'm Danielle.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No.
All right, how's this? Your Gunner's co-host.
I'm gonna jump off of live. My phone's about to die.
But
and
yeah,
I'm gonna
definitely.
just watch, and
That's
my
where
kids
I
are being
would.
super loud.
I've given you so many ideas, and I can't hear the crying. But you got to get from Darren once we post it. My legislative brief, which again explains their affirmative obligations of whatever state you're in, if they're denying you the appropriate services for the ADA. Which it sounds clearly to me you've had greater than a 6-month problem, and you had a major substantial change in your life quality that makes you now qualified for ADA protection.
Right.
And again, there's better words to be used, but off the top of my head and being a little puff myself, it's that time of night. I like to wind down at my late hour of the day. I got such bad arthritis. It's just how it is. I use it for arthritis. But
yeah, in Georgia, they're real peculiar about cannabis and all that. They, hey Tammy, hey John, hey everybody. They just passed a law here or something, but you can only order it online. Or is that what we're talking about? I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah. Georgia's been real peculiar about that topic, like here, and they've been real picky and like flop-sided with it, and they've just passed something that made it legalized, but you have to order it online. I don't see how that's plausible.
It makes any sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's just like grow rights. Just like grow rights in Connecticut, you can do it indoor. Well, you can't do it if you're a state facility or state Section 8 housing. You can't do it in a lot of applications. If your landlord says you can't grow it in the house, you can't grow it in the house. My bigger problem is like Nathan, after I'm dead and gone, he's going to be in an institutional setting. So does that mean he can never have cannabis to control his
right?
It's crazy. It's crazy. And again, as my son is known to go off into the days and hook his eyes to the right, my own psychologist, that is a micro brain seizure. So
does he have autism or
yes,
is he
autism in profound autism? It's actually profound.
I got a 20-year-old son that has autism and ADHD and moderate. They died. He was actually in a facility out in Texas, and we're in Georgia, and I had to go get him from there because they would not bring him back.
I wouldn't accept it. Your state subbing him out.
Yeah, Georgia's just so yeah. They sent him out. I don't know if you ever heard of Devro, but they had him on all kinds of meds. And it comes back to my
argument too, that how do you facilitate your relationship with the disabled? Exactly. How do you facilitate it? So again, you're and again we're playing the reverse roles where he should be claiming, how do I, with a typical person, how do I facilitate my relationship with it? It's called peer support, peer mentoring, peer activity.
Instead of isolating them. That's
right. And again, I'm going back to a girl earlier today that was talking about being put on Zoom with her child. And it's just, no, you can't do that. You're cutting all the human emotional contacts. And guys, I love y'all. I'm not going to say that ain't the truth. But honestly, I'd rather sit here in a room and have a big powwow. And I think it's more effective. It's more energy. The Zoom could be a little bit more, the interaction ain't there, where somebody might scream, I got an idea. And they have to type it. Then it gets posted in a minute or two.
That's what they did. The video, like with me visiting my son, 2 years of just over a screen. And and they moved, like he's from Georgia, and they moved him just without my consent or anything, without my knowledge, to Texas, to Devereaux. And you could just imagine. And when we got him back, like we had to go out there and get him, he was over medicated. There's psychotropic drugs, and the withdrawals were absolutely, my gosh. It changed his whole figure. So, and I totally agree with the whole cannabis thing. I believe that's a healthier route and way to go.
And I can't even believe they're using such a low dog trick as that, because you already know it ain't a standard of harm, and it has to be true harm.
Right.
Not whether or not Peter's wearing a pink tutu. I can care less about that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't
Totally.
care. And again, we see, are they, and it makes sense that are your kids sleeping on the bed? If your kids ain't sleeping on the bed and you're out there smoking $400 an ounce weed, come on, there's something wrong with your head.
Right.
You know what I mean? A bed costs $400. Get your fucking kid a bed.
Kids should come first before anything.
Right. And again, it's so common around here. People are growing and giving it away by the handful. And I never thought in my lifetime I would see that. And again,
the CDC said that they have no medical proof of what goes on. They need more studies on it. That's what I posted up here. They said that they don't have any proof of harm to the babies. They have no information whatsoever. They need more studies.
So it's a controversy. That's what I would be taking right now to the courts.
The potential health effects of using cannabis products during pregnancies are currently unknown, and this is right at the CDC. So how the hell can they go in there and
you cannot have a better information than that? When I say again, peer reviewed, you can't get higher than that as a peer review article.
Hold on 1 second.
I hope she's listening, because you just saved her ass. But I think Christina will go really kind of crazy when she hears her story, because she runs parent support groups in Connecticut. She was the founder of a lot of them in regards to the whole CPS. She's familiar with it. She might be a good person to bring on, because again, Darren, I don't think you got big problems up in Maine, because you guys are a lot looser than Connecticut.
No, man, they give it to us. You kidding me?
Right.
Up here.
Right. And again, it was the old. Again, it can come back to where I would say to tell her, use the old Jim Crow, because this is Jim Crow in itself. Saying that you're a person, because you use cannabis, that you're not fit to parent. You're not fit to be as part of society's major goal. But hey, can you pull up that one brief, or do you want me to do it?
That's what I was asking you.
It was in the email. I gave it to you in the email. That was
I was just scanning.
Which if you can give me permission to pull it up, I'll go over everything.
Go ahead. You feel free, my man. Feel free.
Can you see me now?
I can see you, but I just can't see what you're putting up there.
All right. How do I show you my computer, brother?
See that little window? And Alicia, yes, I will. I certainly will. You see the little window? It's like a square with an arrow in it.
Square with the arrow. Yes, sir.
That's it.
Okay. So I just click on.
I'll stop that, and then you share away, my man.
Select a share. I guess Yahoo. Okay, share. Yeah. Here I am. All right, got it. Okay, guys. Here's access to justice. These are all again the designated responsible employee doc. These are all things that we need to get you guys reading to understand. Civil rights to counsel, because you're in a due process right. HHS final report. Housing, if they're claiming because your housing is not correct, you know what I mean? Well, then I need a HUD housing waiver. How can you separate me from my child? But
Henry, click on your Oh, are these all the things that you're showing right there?
I'm just
right?
showing all the stuff that I sent you in this email that we're
Okay.
going to get everybody up and going. But I'm looking for one particular one that's going to really. So
you guys see where my issue was trying to find this thing that he was asking me for, right? You guys see that?
Oh shit.
And Alicia, I put that link is right up there for you. Go get him, sister.
And again, if somebody needs it right away, be my guest, forward it to them. Until we can get it up and going. I'm just trying to.
You guys, Henry's going to be back every Saturday night. We're going to be doing this.
Right, and hopefully we can get something. Okay, I'm just going to go right now with this, Doc. Why is it telling me email has encountered a problem? Go back to inbox. Oh, screw you. Will this now allow me to go over to my desktop?
Yeah, you do whatever you want.
So everybody's.
It won't share your desktop. It won't share your desktop.
Right.
But you can go to
I can go to it. So everybody's seeing everything correct.
Everybody, all we can see is your mail.
Okay,
right now.
I'm going to look.
I can't believe the amount of the adult sites you have on your mail.
On the adult sites? What do you mean?
I'm just kidding.
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm in my desktop. How do I got mail up? Martacio's settlement agreement. Case law.
And Henry's going to have his own. So, guys, I'm starting on the website. Every show is starting blogs. So everything that Henry does, everything that he's talking about, all this information, he will. All right, good. Danielle's back. He will be able to put into the blog for you guys, so that way you can get a hold of this information and everything. I'm just, I'm one man person doing my, doing the best I can.
Let's
guys.
do it this way. So that
I'm one man protection here.
Everybody gets started. Because my key tonight is only to get everybody started.
Sorry about
everybody.
that.
If you want, you could go ahead and just type in my name, Henry J. Martaccio, on your own computer. It don't matter. Enter. And as you're going to see right off, the first top one is the Connecticut General Assembly. And this is where I believe it matters the most to prove our discrimination. So you want to click on any of these.
Henry, spell out your name for everybody here, bud.
MARTOCCHIO. And I'm going to click on the first General Assembly. Where, again, there it is. You guys should be able to see everything now, correct? Can you see that?
I just had my tablet plugged in. Sorry.
Hit share the screen. Share the new screen. Look at the top. It should say view new screen, share new screen.
Share this tab
Show
instead.
This tab. Yep, share this tab instead. Click that.
Have it?
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
So basically, I'm telling Jonathan right off, this is a public hearing testimony on a bill. It was actually the Department of Developmental Services bill, SB 3839, getting the point. But where I want to go to is this next one. The bill fails to address the needs of all disabled in Connecticut, gives the ongoing discriminatory practices, fails in the rights to remedy, which is huge. Discrimination must be remedied and stopped and corrected. That is the whole purpose of Title II and Title III procedural safeguards set forth in the Rehabilitation Act, and shall be remedies, policies, procedures, right application of Section 1213(2). That's under US 42. I should have put in US 42 there. But what my problem is I'm claiming to them that again, there has been no offer of modifying any state procedure or any services, no recognition by state law of the ADA rights, no notice in place in the files, no notice, meaning, my case should be flagged, have a blue sticker on it saying this is an ADA matter. Anyone that touches it should address it as an ADA matter, given the full protection. There is no insurance of meaningful, effective communication. That's huge, guys. Effective communication. We all know that if you're from Samoa and you walk into our courts, they got to get somebody that speaks Samoan, which I picked a small island for that purpose point. It's again, where I'm showing to you, if your language is not appropriate and you can't get across to them, most of all, you can't get where you're understanding. Well, how are you saying my disabilities discriminate or my disability is bad parent? Then that's called non-effective communication. You're not able to communicate to find out what's wrong so you can be corrected. All state actors and state players in the proceeding is aware of the disability, which is huge because we just told them, and we also filed them underneath our ADA rights, which we're going to get to in a minute. At issue in the case, and aside past ADA issues. So I'm basically telling them, listen, you weren't compliant yesterday. You're not compliant today. Are you going to be compliant tomorrow? Because it's mandated underneath the federal rights. And again, makes no offers of modifications and proceedings or examinations. So basically, you're going to say to the judge, you're offering me a foot surgeon when I need a brain surgeon. Why are you doing this to me? And again, this is the easiest way for me to explain it. I'm not going to get into everybody's personal problems. Provides aids. Okay, so you're telling me that I'm incapable of making a child's bed correctly and I can't bounce a quarter off that bed. Then you have somebody come over and you teach me how to make that bed. See where I'm going with this? References and refers to a specialized service. Get where I'm going with that. It's very easy. Non-provision, because like in Nathan's case, his autism, nonverbal, there's picture communication systems that are being developed and used at the time when he was in school. There was sign language at the time. There's no meaningful, effective communication. That's why I was getting to, you don't understand the process of why you keep coming up short of an appropriate transitioning plan. Within the services and proceedings, there is no written grievance policy, which is what we're addressing right now as the biggest slap against the disabled. Because if there's no written grievance policy, you haven't been given a procedural safeguard. They've just violated your due process rights as a person with disability or association. And again, when they perceive you, I can't hammer this into you guys enough. When they perceive you, everything stops, and the state must now address your disabilities and ensure all I've stated above. All state actors and state players are denying the ADA and rights to their clients. So that's basically your attorneys. How do you have effective communication with your attorney? Your attorney didn't call your doctor, and your doctor didn't say, well, we've done everything under the sun. We have to provide her with cannabis to get cannabinoids, I'm assuming. And again, that would be in that reference. But if it was like, again, back to the bed, then how come your attorney hasn't suggested somebody to teach you how to make a military bed so you can bounce a quarter off it? The ADA is not an opinion. The ADA is the law. The disabled cannot settle these issues anywhere else. That's huge, guys. That's all about Tennessee Lane. We can't just open up another courthouse down the street. We're assigned to districts. We're assigned to certain areas. We can't. It's again, I have nowhere else that the law allows me to adjudicate my problems. I have to go to a courtroom. And as such, the state has to identify, offer accommodations, modifications, and did none to this date. To be protected by the ADA, one must have a disability or a relationship or an association with an individual with a disability. An individual with a disability is defined by the ADA as a person who has a physical or mental impairment with substantial limits of one or more major life activities. And again, the ADA has been updated again. The activities would be also cover drug and alcohol. A person who has a history or a record as such impairment, or a person who is perceived by others as having such an impairment. Please stop governing the discriminating budget that holds us back the rights of the community inclusion for the disabled that depends on the state services. After 27 years, so roughly this is almost 10 years ago, I filed this complaint because we're on the 35th anniversary. For you guys that don't know, July is our celebration month of the ADA. The passage was introduced and signed into law by President Bush in July 27th, 1990. After the ADA was mandated, all states and Con, which is Connecticut, still thinks it can look over the other way their responsibilities of care and insurance of life, liberty, and pursuit to happiness for all. And then I get into the introduction of the ADA. But where I really want to go to is these big words right here, guys. I don't know if it will highlight and show you, but basically I have an ADA objection. I have a protest. I'm protesting, meaning I'm not liking the services you're giving me. I have a complaint and I have demands for remedy on or about a ADA program manager or state of Connecticut judicial branch and all state departments of Connecticut that serves the public. And this is the key right here. As the first and foremost, and I'm going to tell you guys this, you have to go to the DOJ website and read it. Please look at your 1991 regulations coupled with the state's, I call it the T&M manual, but it's for towns in states. I think towns and municipalities, they called it. The DOJ technical assistance manual covers the states and local government program services and activities for their preempt to best explain the public entity's responsibility and financing of. From that, you could tell if Connecticut was or is or will be tomorrow compliant with the ADA and its subcontractors and of the state that they hold, but not only the Title II, but it's not only the Title II, it's also the Title III obligations. Because again, if you subcontract off the state, you hold their affirmative Title II obligations. Please understand, and this is where it's getting lovely. Oh, get out of here, you stupid text box. Please understand and request to debate me if you wish or need. But Connecticut is on a non-compliancy similar to you, Donna, or Jane, or John, or Jane Doe citizens, you, Jane, and John, Donna, or Joe Doe, professional attorneys who have two separate and equal arguments are the same complaint and the same testimony. No administrative compliance means no administrative ADA. All state actors and state players and the Connecticut bar attorneys have been and are willing to continue to exclude from participation and deny the benefits of services and programs and activities of Connecticut. And this discrimination against by reason of the disability, by reason that the public entity knows as Connecticut services is to the public, including but not limiting. This is where I get into our case law, where I told everybody go to ada.gov for a quick search. You're going to type in your state. You should pull up all your complaints. And the ones that are going to be hidden, you're going to have to do now a FOIA against, Freedom of Information Act. And another place that you would do it is your Department of CHRO, which is your civil rights office of your state that handles civil rights complaints. There would be another public entity. Ours is called CHRO. And I know about 20 or 30, obviously solid complaints where judicial has already been told they have to comply with the ADA. DCF has already been told they have to comply with the ADA.
And they still don't.
And they still don't. This is where it's getting lovely, guys. We're setting the stones to remove. This is the only way you can get it undone. You think a judge is going to overturn another judge in a state court on a pro se matter? We don't have the money. But and then your administrative, buddy, come on. I'll get dressed. Sorry, guys. He just
how old is your son?
He's 21.
Oh, so he's a year older than mine. Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyways, it's violations of non-compliant. It's a great settlement agreement to read. It's about undue burdens of Department of Social Services, landmark case in Connecticut. It's the only one. But this is where I want to get to you guys. When you're denied your effective communication, when you're denied the designated responsible employee, or somebody perceives you as having a disability that's not worthy, it's called, again, the denial of designated responsible employee, 28 CFR 35.107. I'm getting all tongue twisted. The designated responsible employee of the entity, the public entity of 50 or more employees, or shall designate at least one employee. So this is one employee, guys, that will coordinate its efforts to comply and carry out its responsibilities underneath this part, including any investigations of complaints communicated to allege its non-compliancy with the part, or alleging allegations to any actions that would be prohibited in this part. And again, we'll get to that in a second. That, remember those words, any actions that would be prohibited in this part. The public entity shall, and again, ADA was written, guys, too, basic language. They cannot make this language like we read in some, case law where they get into jurisprudence and all this other crap and technical words that are going to go right over our heads.
Right.
The ADA was written in, and again, Congress made it so that it was written in basic, simple language. The words mean what they mean.
Right.
Do not let somebody fake you out of this.
Right.
So again, the public entity, this is where I'm getting good. The public entity shall make available to all interested individuals. I don't have to wait for a FOIA. I demand right now. This is part of my right as a disabled person. The name, the office name and address, the telephone number. Where am I? The telephone number of the employees designated to pursue this paragraph. Denial of the ADA and adoption of its grievance policies. As today, the only thing you have given me is Title I grievance procedures. Remember, I'm not an employee of the state. Do not tell me to go. I have to go to the HR department or deal with the HR department, because the human resources only decides benefits of state employees' budgets in their 501s and their all that other crap. We're not employees. We're actually using the program, service, and activity. We, the people, use your service, reject, and we are not employees of the state of Connecticut. So stop applying Title I. Let's get into the beautiful part. And guys, where I got a lot of these from, these next statements, are directly out of Connecticut's settlement agreements, denying the DOJ found that Connecticut was denying a qualified individual an opportunity to participate or benefit from a federally funded program, service, or activity, or other benefits.
Wow.
Denying of an individual with a disability is equal opportunity to receive state program services. Denying of accessibility to a program, benefit, or opportunity, because again, this is about opportunities for the disabled, to level the playing field, to not put the disability on the forefront. But again, denying employment opportunities, including hiring or promotion or training or fringe benefits. So I'm accusing Title I right now. Do you see what I'm saying? Of their benefit of their training.
Right.
The state and the disabled of Connecticut and administrative procedures for enforcement of the Title II. So the way the Title II reads is I have the right to go to the entity that I'm serving me, ask what's going on here. And if they say, oh, there's nothing wrong, you're over exaggerating, you're out of your mind, kid. Well, then I have the right to appeal it to supposedly the next hire, which should be like a town mayor or a town manager. And again, I'm thinking in terms of school right now. From there, I can go to the Department of Education. Then from there, it'd be to a court. Then from there, I can go to federal court. Or upon discrimination, I can go right to federal court. I can go right to federal court, right on interpretation. Right now, on denying the disabled, I can go right now and file today. Are you going to get anywhere? No, they're going to send you back and say that, you don't have anything in writing. You want to get them again to acknowledge that there is no administrative hearings. There is no internal path, external path. They have not publicized it. They have not given you procedural safeguards. Denying the disabled of the state of Connecticut policies and procedures and grievances and notices of safeguards for the ADA, Title II, Title III. That's again coming from your lawyer's office too, because some of these entities are state, appointed attorneys. And I don't care if they work for themselves, but they all belong to a certain club. They have to take certain tests to get into that club before they can become a GAL or before they can become a court-appointed attorney. There's certain compliances that they have to do in training and ethics and all this other bullshit that we know is bullshit. Because if they don't even understand and haven't gone through the ADA review process or effective training, then they're discriminating right off because they're eliminating your rights, but denying compliance reviews. So basically, that's my right as a disabled person. I can see every 3 years they're supposed to do a self-evaluation. They're supposed to do a transitioning plan. These plans should have correlating numbers. They should have been approved by committees and had inputs of the disabled community. There's a lot to it. So again, I'm not trying to get you guys into that mode yet, but this is a simple cut, copy, paste. You only have to turn around and look at your state laws. So again, denying the civil rights of the disabled to have association rights with a person without a disability. Do you realize that is the hugest thing in the world? So like that girl that came on, they're basically saying because she's using CBDs or THC, I don't know, we never established it, that she's a bad person. So, and if she's got a disability, how can the state say that the kid has to be learned to hate her for having that disability? It just doesn't make sense to me. It goes against the whole goal.
Right.
Congress's intent was to end the discrimination. And again, this is where you guys got to take it back to 1990. Overall denying the disabled rights for and of a modification without application to the denial to that person's disabilities request. So, in my belief, I believe I have a right to know what accommodations I'd be receiving based off of my disability. Once they give me that list, I can now proceed and say, well, this might help a little bit better if we did it this way. So I'll give you an example, CART versus real time. It's when I'm talking here, the words would be put up. We call it closed caption in this committee, but it would be different ways. And there's different tools within that system that could make it more beneficial to somebody to use a different preferred style. And they've been trained on it or they haven't been trained. Because if they do give you this, because I've met this with somebody too, he ended up getting his real-time transcripts and they didn't even give him time to learn it. How can you tell me you're giving me a new effective tool, but you're not going to teach me how to use this effective tool?
Right.
This makes no sense. And again,
that's
you're in
defeating the purpose, totally
you're hitting it right there on the head. It's defeating the purpose. Keep it simple, keep it stupid. I can't tell everyone this enough. Keep it simple, keep it stupid. Don't get into the he said, she said shit.
Right.
Let them prove compliancy. And once they prove compliancy, the case can go forward now. Because until they prove compliancy, they got no rights to tell you keep going. But they will. They will.
They'll try.
You go home and you write to the DOJ or HHS OCR or your Office of Civil Rights or your disability rights of whatever state you're in.
Instead of just shutting down and letting them bully on you.
And letting them
Speak
beat
up.
you down.
Be the voice. Yeah.
Tools to deflect the beating. This is where I can't stress this enough. And it's going to irritate the shit out of them once you catch them in their fuck up.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Because why? They're taking federal money and they're not using it correctly.
That's right. They're screwing the federal government over pretty much.
Their rights, and again, for having modifications without the applications denying to the person the disabled request. Failure to develop a list of modifications for the disabled to review and can pick for what best ensures modifications will work best for their needs. And in effective communications with all. Effective communication is with all a huge problem because you're crying, oh, I can't take it. Why are you picking on me? I'm a good parent. I've done this, X, Y, Z. No, turn the story. Who the hell are you to tell me because I'm using cannabis to control and regulate my body that you're not discriminating against me and my child now? Have you taken any ADA effective communication courses? Do you even have a clue of any transitioning?
And
Again,
not half of them don't. A majority of them don't.
Plan if you're ignorant to this disability. So again, willingness and exclude the disabled. Where am I? I know it was willingness.
Try to keep the he said, she said up.
And denying the civil rights of the disabled to have association right. We did that. Failure to create non-discriminatory policies and procedures. That is a huge thing to be asking. I want to know what your words on how you're going to ensure that I don't care what the disability is that comes through this building. They have to have a non-discriminatory policy and procedure, which will probably applies to employment. When it only applies to employment, again, you're going bullshit. Right. You're not an employee.
Right.
And again,
that's right.
Failure to provide clear, strong, consistent, enforceable standards addressing the discrimination against the disabled with disabilities by state actors and state players. This is where if they cannot make you a freaking plan to reunify because they've come up with some kind of medical problem that does not exist inside of mainstream medicine.
Much is in by proxy.
How much more discrimination do you guys want than this?
Right. That's
again, failure to provide the authority to conduct compliance reviews. That's huge. This is where we're getting into compliance.
The reviews,
Yes, they have to every 3 years review. And again,
and they don't
say we're going to go for this goal, set the goal, and see where they fall on achieving this goal of stopping the discrimination that's been identified to them. So again, we're just going to use wheelchair. Well, we all know that one, right? They got to make everything wheelchair accessible. Any public has to be. Well, let's just say they decide to put up a court that ain't wheelchair accessible. That's how fast and easy we can nail them. Again, apply it towards your disability. I can't cover them all. We can only talk about them. We got theories. We got, but again,
we got to get them in force. We got to be the voice.
A different source. Yes, because you're the one that's going to be sitting there in front of the judge, which again is illegal, but you should be the one sitting in front of the administrative person arguing this. This is not something your attorney gets to argue on your behalf unless you're like Nathan, who's totally nonverbal. Then it's again, they have to provide the strictest scrutiny with prophylactic protections. So again, the strictest scrutiny is the highest standard we got in law. And now you just affirmatively said they have prophylactic protections that must be in place for him. So again, that means
and they're supposed to act in the
right. This is over and above them saying, "Oh, everybody's got due process rights. We comply with the due process rights all day."
And that's
we know that ain't true.
Right.
We know that ain't true. But again, available underneath the section 504 and Title 4 of the security. So again, when you're looking at this, you can refer to Reg 28 CFR 42107A. I'm giving you the regs. I'm giving it to you. So when you turn around, you hand this to the state employee, she says, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." There's a federal reg 28 CFR 30. I was going to say 35.107. That's my favorite number. Remember that number out of all. This is the 42107A. And again, then we go into failure of 42107B. The designated agency may conduct compliance reviews of the public entities in order to ensure there has been a failure to comply with the non-discriminatory requirements of this part. That's where I was saying to you guys earlier, there has to be an Office of Civil Rights, Chief Child Advocate, something, look for something in those names. But also, don't forget Disability Rights of Connecticut also has that affirmative obligation too. But they're going to tell, "I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved." Bullshit. You're getting involved because this affects more than one person. And again, if the future is about the disabled, are you going to sit back and let the state turn whoever is disabled into their new market machines?
Yep. And that actually happened to a parent here in Georgia.
Target against a protected class of citizens. So you want to start fighting and going to their ADA advisory committees and challenging these pricks that are sitting on the boards. like in Connecticut, you'll find it's the old commissioner of the Department of Developmental Services, which in 2012, she was discriminating against me. How can she be the head chair of the disability rights of Connecticut? Never mind, there's like councils of developmental disabilities. Pieces of shit. You have ADA advisory committees. Start shaking it out. I'm telling you guys, you really want to shake this tree. Because why? This is a direct path for the federal government. Like Gunner always likes to say, I'm using federal law. All I quote is federal law. He said something the other day about having it notarized. And I'm like, son of a bitch. And I've been over here notarizing an affidavit of truth. Going out of my way to notarize these things because I thought it applied to federal law. So you learn certain things. So again, failure of 27 42 107B, the designated agency. Okay, failure to provide the services to a qualified individual in a community-based setting. Where's that Zoom person? Where is that Zoom person?
Right.
Seriously. I don't know if you were on Tiff's show earlier, but one lady asked me, well, they've just put me on Zoom. Yeah. Is that a community-based setting?
Right.
How can you even tell me that I have to go to a Zoom with my child to have a relationship over a digital
device? Like it's just not gonna.
Physical. I would be filing that objection. I would be filing a motion of contempt. I would be filing a motion of discrimination. I would be filing to have that person, whoever suggested it, removed immediately as discrimination from the case. Do you see what we're tying this all together now?
Right. Yes.
It's huge if you do not use the ADA. It is
because that's where a lot of people aren't doing that because they don't know their rights.
They don't know this exists because nobody's teaching.
Nobody's telling them. Yep.
Nobody's telling them. But yet this is all in settlement agreements. All this information I've pulled out. Please reference it. Look it up. You have to because you can't believe me. I'm a liar. That's the way the government works. Because I don't have an attorney or a bar in my name. Well, I got parent in my name. And as the Constitution says, that's a hell of a lot stronger than a bar. And again, I'm getting all jacked up here because now you guys have really got me going. Failure to provide these services to a qualified individual in a community-based setting. As long as such services are appropriate to the needs of the disabled, those agencies shall provide technical guidance. Do you guys get that? You want technical guidance and work cooperative with the state to achieve these goals of Title II USC. This is where we're really gonna. This is the heart of it. The ADA signed in 1990. 42 USC 12-13-1. So if you guys ever get a chance to read, but again, I want to go to a failure to comply with the integrated requirements. The state must reasonably modify its policies and procedures and practices when necessary to avoid discrimination. That's huge. 28 CFR 35.130B7. Please look at that. Please. It says it. The freaking DOJ's already ruled. And guys, when I keep on getting excited about the DOJ, because why? The Congress made DOJ the only authority to write out our rights.
Right.
They are the only authority. Congress set it in motion, and the DOJ through enforcement and clarification was to describe our rights. They don't want to give it a full discrimination of, you do XYZ PDQ. No, they want sometimes Q to come first, depending on the disability.
Right.
Am I making sense on that statement?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. Under Title II obligations, please refer, and I give you guys the websites right here. Please refer yourself to the ADA regulations, www.ada.gov, the ADA Technical Assistance Manual. Please, in particular, start with the TANM section. And again, Title II Technical Assistance Manual. They give the states and towns a technical assistance manual, and they're going to still tell you no.
That's right. They do.
You're gonna let somebody tell you no and spit in your face on your disability? Bullshit.
Don't let them bully.
I would be going nuts on that, whoever that person is, because here it all is right here. It breaks it all down. The technical, and don't forget, these idiots can call DOJ any day of the week. When you call DOJ, you're going to get the recording. It says the DOJ will apply the ADA to your situation and your problems. Bullshit. Because once they figure out that you got a brain, they don't want to talk to you anymore.
Right.
Because now you're
no.
pot. That's
and
why
then they try to send you on a merry-go-round like a carousel ride.
Well, you just keep on sending it to them and then hit them with freedom of information. I'm looking for a case of a parent being accused of being a pot smoker. It ain't good enough because that's harmful to their child. Even their child ain't ingesting it. They're still saying it's harmful. I'm not having any record of blackouts. I'm not having any record of not knowing where I am or not caring. I don't think you can become functionally. I think overdose on pot is like 3 pounds. Who can smoke 3 pounds of weed? It can't be done.
No.
It just can't be done. So where is the harm? I want to reach out to her and strangle her right now and just keep on saying, again, because it hits you in so many directions, you guys are missing the obvious that's in front of your face. That obvious discrimination that you can really do something about. And again, I would love to get in with Gunner and Tanawa and all these other people and apply it more to a foundational constitutional right. But again, I give you the ADA technical, hey buddy, technical assistance manual underneath the ada.gov, TA, pubs, page 2, HDM. In particular, beginning with the section of Title II Technical Assistance Manual, the American Disabilities Act. And don't forget, guys, in 2008, the ADA came out with a final update. I'm sorry, he's going to spin up.
He's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all good. So anyways, so you want to look at your when you hear me talk about the ADA, then there's the ADAA. I try always saying 2008, but just beware, there is the ADA, and then there's the ADA amendments of 2008.
ADA, okay.
Those
2008.
Really, that's it. We're done.
Oh, it's fine.
We're done. Come on, go watch some YouTube for me, buddy. I'm almost done. He wants my attention. I'm like his personal toy. I swear to God, guys, I'm his personal toy. But anyways, again, please, the Technical Assistance Manual covering states and local government program services. You'll find that ada.gov/TAMA 2 HTMI. So again, these are all great, but this is where I'm trying to show to you. When these people tell you that you're freaking nuts, the administrative responsibilities in the same regs you will find in the 800.0000040, we'll just say administrative requirements. Then you're going to go to the guidance underneath 8.1000 general. You're going to go to the next guidance, which is 8.2000 self-evaluations. You're going to go, I give you everything. So when they tell you that these transitioning plans don't exist, that they haven't done a self-evaluation, bullshit. Since 1990 was your first year. Figure out the math. 3 years after that. 5 years as a transitioning plan. You see how it works? So they have 3 years from self-evaluation and then 5 years to implement it. By the time that comes around, you're on a second self-evaluation.
Right.
You see where
so 3 years to say that again, 3 years to and then
3 years self-evaluation. And I've read it, and don't quote me, but I think they can take up to 5 years to achieve that self-evaluation's transitioning plan.
Okay. So like implementing it. Okay.
Do you understand? I know it sounds crazy. Somebody would say, well, if your self-evaluation is 3 years, then you should be able to transition in 3 years from discriminatory services to non-discriminatory.
Right. But they try to shove it on somebody all at one time too, and that's
but I'm and again, was it the designated person that did it? Did the designated person sign off on it? Did the designated person weigh in the disabled community on what appropriate modifications for that particular disability. There's a lot to it that we can, again. So this is why I'm screaming the blues here.
We got to be the voice.
8.5, the designated responsible employee development of grievance procedures. We all know the Rooker Field doctrine.
Yep.
Right? That's all the questions of sovereign immunity. Tennessee Lane, 2004. And it provides you do not have sovereign immunity rights at all. On top of that, I will be asking for your job and your pensions and your license if you hold one with a Connecticut bar. That's how much of a bitch I am. I don't want money. I want jobs. I want pensions, and I want them
accountability.
The way we are. You know what I mean? And again,
this like they try to take from us.
Court decision was a 5-4 in the opinion of Justice John Paul. So again, this is your SCOTUS. This is SCOTUS weighing in. The majority of the ruling of Congress did not have enough evidence that the disabled were being denied those fundamental rights that were being protected by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Among those rights being as part of a right to access the court. Failure to remedy Congress enacted was encouraged in proportionally because it was reasonably accommodated. It was a reasonable accommodation. And again, that's where Title I, again, I'm telling you guys, modifications lead to an accommodation, an appropriate modification. An accommodation is me telling you, hey, I'm a plumber. Got a broken arm today. Boss man, I'm going to put a sling around my neck. I still can work today. I can carry that pipe. You watch me get it up on top of that roof. I'll do it. If I can't do it, he has the right to fire me with no discrimination claims. Right. Okay, so notice the difference between an accommodation. Yeah. I ain't telling you shit until you give me a modification. I don't know what your program services and activities can do for my imaginary disease. I don't know what you can do for what you have for funding and trained, effective people hired within the department. So again, you're raising these questions. Congress remedied and enacted and encouraged proposed because reasonable amount mandated by the ADA, but not unduly burdensome and disproportionate to the harm. Garrity, that's a great case, guys. Garrity, you have to look up Garrity because it's, again, as strong as Tennessee Lane. The court said applying only equal protection claims, not to do the due process claims. The court said applying to only the equal protection, not to the. Therefore, the law is constitutional. Okay, therefore the law is constitutional. Chief Justice Williams and Associates Justice Clarence Thomas and Anthony Scalia filed a dissent from it. But again, I get into Congress's powers underneath the fifth section of the 14th Amendment. Bridges the state's sovereign immunity in the cases implicating fundamental rights of access to the courts. You, your friends, the judges, I don't care. I'll call them all out. I don't care. And if you don't call them out and play that scared, because again, you got to understand retaliation and coercion is against the law. They cannot do it underneath the ADA. So if you are a disabled person and they're telling you to take a weaker standard of a program, service, and activity, and then they pull out the rug underneath you, it's all discrimination. So again, ADA committees, so also directed by statute, must provide the remedies in an equal protection of law and liberty interests. Okay, it includes with or without disabilities, because under USC Code Section 1213(3), the American Disabilities Act, as amended, provides this is where you guys got to get the remedies. The remedies and procedure rights set forth in the Rehabilitation Act shall be the remedies and procedures and rights applicable to Section 1213(2). So again, we're quoting back to the ADA. Discrimination claimed in USC Code Section 1213(3). See Collins, Longview, Popovich. You guys got to read Popovich. innovative, intuitive systems. Great Plains, New York. A lot of good case law comes out of New York guys in California on the ADA, just to top that one off. Congress also found in its analysis. So who the fuck is a judge to tell Congress he was wrong? You know, I'd love to see that judge's mouth hit the floor when you say something to that. Who the hell are you? You know, again, looked at the ADA legislative history and Department of Justice and regulations and technical assistance manuals, all of which supported the court's interpretation of the plain language statutes. There's my plain language statutes, guys. So if they're saying shit to you that's over your head, stop the press. Slow this court down. Slow it down before I start filing another complaint to the DOJ. That's what I was saying in court. Open court.
Yep.
I wouldn't care. What are they going to do? They've already got you by the coons. Now you're teaching them that don't fuck with me. Period.
If you don't understand something, call them out on it.
You have to. Because if not, when you go up to the next level, I don't care if it's at the next appeal or you decide to go to the federal courts on it. I don't care. If you didn't raise it in court, it's not been raised on paperwork. It doesn't exist.
Right.
So
it's got to be on the record.
It has to be on the record. You have to make a record of discrimination and be very hostile that they are not compliant of their administrative duties. And again, with respects to Title II of the ADA, the House Committee on Education, Your Honor, I haven't learned one thing about my child's education since you stole my child. How unconstitutional is that, Your Honor? He has a 504. He has an IEP. He has disabilities. You know, he's at the developmental stage. Who's appropriately giving him the basic, you know, when I say developmental stage, 1 to 2 year old, I was thinking in that comment. You know, how they're really have to be attached to their parent and bonded with their parent, and there's sense and there's pheromones and all this other crazy shit that you could throw into the action. They want to get whacked. Let's go whack. Let's whack them. We got the ADA on our side. The committee has not chosen the list of the types of actions that are included within the term discrimination. Do you understand that, guys? It's wide open. It's wide open. If you feel it's discrimination, if you don't feel it's right, I'm telling you, it's discrimination. If you feel you're being intimidated, if you're feeling you're being forced,
it's retaliation. Yeah.
It's retaliation. It's retaliation would be after you filed the complaint.
Right.
Your attorney comes after you and says, "What the fuck you doing to me?" It's happened so much, and I love it. I says, "I told you don't fuck with me."
Right.
I'm going to the federal court. I don't care if it's going to take me years, my lifetime, because fraud upon services is fraud upon services. And as we all know, fraud can never be written off. If somebody frauded you of a civil right, you have that right to claim it. And again, but anyways, and again, it extends simply to anti-discrimination prohibition, embroidered it within the 504. So we know the 504 is, again, out of the 73 Rehabilitation Act. That's where you guys are going to find that. But that's where they get their medical funding for them to do their little horror of the court shit, you know, where one
judicial determination. Yeah.
I would like to find that case law, or for anyone else that's maybe come up with it or not. But there was a case out of Florida where the lady was sent to like 36 different psychologists, and everyone had different opinions. And again, it was called the Horror of the Court. Look for a study called the Horror of the Courts or something like that. Google Scholar. I find a lot of good paperwork on Google Scholar, believe it or not, guys. You know, people are writing. And again, you want to look at your old writings, because if you're looking at new stuff like today, it's going to say, all right, we support this theory. That's irrelevant. We're still fighting the basic start of the protection from 1990. Yeah, they've done wheelchair ramps. Yeah, they've done where you know, we'll get you into court. Do you need a hearing aid or you know, they call them amplified muffs so you can hear. They've done certain stupid things, but they have not complied with the intellectual aspect of the ADA. Does that make sense what I'm saying here? The physical seen disabilities, they got that covered. It's the hidden disabilities that they have no clue on what to do. And a hidden disability is still a disability, guys.
Right.
You could have been fine all through life and everything like that. And then all of a sudden somebody starts calling you, I'm just going to say a narcissist for the word, just to use it. Well, prove how I'm a narc. How can you say this one action makes me a narcissist when my life looks like this?
Right.
I just don't get it. But again, Title II of the bill makes all activities of state and local government subject to the type of prohibitions against discrimination against qualified individuals with a disability, including Section 504 I can't even say it anymore. Non-discriminations. I give you the House rep number, right? Where you can cross-reference it. And if you want to take the time to read the House, be my guest. I wish they had it. And again, it was reprinted into the 1990 USC.
And
about wrapping it up.
Yeah. Hey guys, we got to wrap it up because Brenda's waiting on us.
Bring him back.
All right. So, anyways, hey Darren, just get this up because again, it's the rehabilitation. Then I'm going to go into equal protection. Then I'm going to give you guys the case law. Then I'm going to give you the integrated systems. And then I'm going to give you, this is a request for an accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is here. You have to tell them in writing. And again, here I use my general statutes. You guys got to have something similar to this in your general statutes. Diversified training programs. Tell me, where's your diversified training programs in regards to my disability? Affirmative action plans. Just Google it to yours. I get into federal law. I get into acts. I get into everything. And again, this one right here, here's all our federal law that's on pertaining. So again,
and that's Googling your name, right? Like Henry.
Yes, that's just like Googling my name. You can get that until it happens. But again, here today, I like this one in Massachusetts. I believe today the staff. All right, it's incumbent on all judges and judicial staff to ensure every person with a disability to provide with reasonable accommodations, if available, to ensure that they can fully, equally participate in our systems. In regards, McDonald, Massachusetts, look up the case, read it. It's a very good case because even now the judges are saying it's incumbent on the judicial judges. Judge, you cannot look the other way.
But that goes for any, that goes for not just disabilities. That goes with all of this that they're doing in the CPS realm.
Right.
For real.
Judges cannot look the other way.
Fully agree with you. But unless you put in the ADA, you don't have now an administrative path to go to take it to the federal courts on the question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, they are not supposed to continue because that's called coercion. Once you raise the fact of discrimination, they must address how it is or how it is not. But again, please, guys, Google my name. Me and Darren will get some of these up there for you. I got other things. It's called request to leave. On a request to leave, that's when they joined me one time and they said, I'm a fit parent. They're telling me I got to listen to grandparents to raise my child. Fuck you. You know what I mean? These are the bitches that went and poisoned my child, and they raised her on top of it, and I got to listen to this shit. Baloney. You know what I mean? He's got enough problems. You should not be using him as a carrot in front of a mule. That's just not happening here today. And again, so again, where I'm trying to say is, if I knew what I knew when it first went down, there would have been a path for me.
If you knew better, you would do better.
Right.
But again, guys, I give you everything. Willingness to establish procedural willingness to fail on and incorporate willingness. It's all here. And where did I steal this from? The DOJ directly.
That's what's up.
Henry, next week, same time, same place, right?
Yes.
Look up your state. Start figuring out what your ADA rights are in your state. Who's the players? Who's the state actors? Get into it. And do not let them tell you Title I is your path.
Be the voice.
Henry, sit tight. I'm going to sit tight, Henry. Don't go away.
All right, brother. You guys have a good night.
Thanks. Good to see you. Bye.